Released in 1974, The Incredible Hulk issue number 181 would introduce the world to the Wolverine, the creation of Len Wein and Herb Trimpe. Comic fans quickly fell in love with the hard-headed Canadian mutant, catapulting him into mainstream popularity. The animated series and Fox movies especially helped in this, as Logan became a focal point for both. His pull in the world of comics is undeniable, and that reflects in the action figures released over the years. Hey everyone, it's Pearlescent Toys. Today I'll be ranking them, my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends Wolverine figures. This video is going to be different from my previous top 10s in that I no longer own a lot of the figures on the list, so I'll be pretty much talking over a slideshow. But with that out of the way, let's get into the honorable mentions. First up are the movie Wolverines. I know how particular some of you are about me including movie figures on these lists. This list will purely consist of comic figures, but I still thought it was worth mentioning how great the Fox Wolverine figures are. Each one is stellar, and I cannot wait for the Deadpool and Wolverine X-Men uniform Logan to come out. Next up, we have the 2004 Toy Biz Brown Suit and 2008 Hasbro Tiger Stripe Wolverine. These figures hold up surprisingly well by today's standards. The head sculpts are great, and the articulation for the most part is pretty good. The claws warp very easily though, and the proportions are a little bit wonky. They are working with some Toy Biz parts here. Still, these two deserve their flowers for holding it down as the definitive Wolverines for so long. Toy Biz Legendary Riders Wolverine, aka Days of Future Past Wolverine. Yeah, the Hasbro version of the same character is fine, but this one comes with one of the coolest choppers to grace the 112 Marvel Legends series. The figure itself, though, is a bit rough by today's standards, though. Next up is Old Man Logan from the Warlock Build-A-Figure wave. I love the Old Man Logan storyline, and I love this figure as well. But there is a version of this character in the Marvel Legends form that was done twice as good. Wink wink. And last but not least, we have AOA Weapon X. This figure has such a sick head sculpt. I love the hair combined with the angry expression. The only thing really holding it back for me is the fact that it is from the Age of Apocalypse, a storyline I don't too much care for. I'm sorry guys, I really am. Still, this figure is so well done. It is honestly interchangeable with the number 10 figure on my list. That's it for the honorable mentions. Let's move on to the list, starting with number 10. And coming in at number 10, we have the Uncanny X-Force Wolverine. This released in 2019 as a part of the Wendigo Build-A-Figure wave. Scraping by for that 10th position is none other than the Uncanny X-Force Wolverine, a version of the character that Hasbro had done in the Return of Marvel Legends era back in the early 2010s. That one was a game changer at the time, super highly sought after. I remember watching the Shartimus Prime video, the Marvel Legends collector, where he was hunting it down. Just so much nostalgia tied to that version. However, it quickly began to show its age, and by 2019, it was time for a change, an update. Enter X-Force Wolverine 2.0. This one remedied a ton of issues plaguing the original, like the height, head sculpt, and articulation, with the added bonus of that brand new set of claws. They are pretty big and very animated looking, and that's what makes them so much fun to look at. His color palette matches up perfectly with the other members of X-Force, Deadpool, X-23, and Deathlock. So there's an added bonus. I always love a team uniform. Only downside of this figure is the lack of accessories. I would have loved an angry or yelling expression, perhaps an unmasked head and some neutral hands. Nonetheless, it's a great figure, and that is why it is X-Forced into number 10. And coming in at number 9, we have Weapon X. This released in 2019 as a part of the Caliban Build-A-Figure wave. What's better than Wolverine wearing a super badass uniform? Wolverine wearing nothing at all. The mold this figure is on was made for clothed Wolverines, but I think it managed to be perfect with this Weapon X look. They added some great sculpted detail with the helmet and the apparatus on his belt. The red translucent tubes connecting to his wrists and head look gnarly. I think the neutral expression on the helmeted head is perfect for when you want him posed in a test tube to be poked and prodded at. Lots of people online have made their own setups, and they look just out of this world. That alternate head is a little goofy though. I would have preferred another helmeted head with that yelling expression, or maybe with his teeth gritted like he's broken out and is going on a rampage through the facility. Posing this guy is fun, and that is why he's at number 9. And coming in at number 8, we have First Appearance Wolverine, released in 2019 in a 2-pack with Hulk. as a part of the 80th anniversary line. The first of many tiger stripes on today's list, and trust me, we'll get to those. Logan here was definitely the weak link of that 2-pack he was released in. He wasn't as highly sought after as the Incredible Hulk, but that doesn't diminish the greatness of this figure by any means. I think the bright blue and yellow work wonderfully together, giving off that retro toy vibe. That head sculpt is filled with rage, perfect for the character, and his mask being so incredibly different than what we're used to nowadays helps him stand out even better on the shelf. In terms of accessories, he only comes with 2 neutral fists. I would have loved an alternate head with the white eyes as shown in his later appearances wearing the costume. Despite all of that, the figure is deserving of the number 7 spot. And coming in at number 7, we have Uncanny issue number 275 Wolverine. This released in 2023 as a part of the X-Men Retro Collection Wave 2. I told you, I love a team uniform. This Wolverine's release coincided with the 2 3-packs consisting of Forge, Storm, Banshee, Jubilee, Psylocke, and Gambit. All are based on the Uncanny X-Men issue number 275. Unlike X-Force, who took the same designs but made them gray, every team member from this set has mostly matching gear. All stand out from one another though, Wolverine especially being the short king that he is. What a cutie. What I love the most about this figure are the head sculpts. They don't look out of place on any other Wolverine figure. The digital face printing looks top notch and hyper realistic. I especially love that angry expression. The neutral head is perfect too. Really, the only downside of this figure is the uniform itself, which only lasted a few issues in the middle of the Uncanny run. It isn't quite as iconic as other suits on the list. Still, it is super underrated, and that is why it is at number 7. And coming in at number 6, we have the brown suit. This released in 2017 as a part of the very first Retro Collection wave. It might be controversial putting the iconic brown and yellow suit this low, but hey, it's my list. While I am a bigger fan of the yellow and blue, I've come to appreciate this design very deeply, enough to put this on the list. We had gotten the same suit from Hasbro in the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure wave, and while that one was great, this one is just simply greater. A much better color palette with the brown and yellow being brighter and meshing very well with one another. There is a trade-off with accessories, however. Gone are the unclawed hands and in are the mask and alternate head. It's the same pieces that were used for the Toys R Us exclusive all those years ago. Not saying it's a bad head sculpt, but it certainly isn't my favorite. I can't wait to get my hands on that new brown suit Wolverine that was shown off at Comic-Con, but until then, Retro Collection is standing at the number 6 position. And coming in at number 5, we have Old Man Logan. This released in 2020 in a 2-pack alongside Hawkeye. I'll admit to being a huge fan of westerns, and few Marvel comics do a better job in that genre than Old Man Logan. We had gotten another Old Man Logan previously in the Warlock Build-A-Figure wave. The 2-pack version takes that figure and enhances it. It adds some neutral hands, which are very important for the character. If you've read the story, you'll know. And Baby Hulk, who is just as cute as he is unsettling. If you know, you know. I think my favorite addition was that duster and that cowboy hat combo. It's a look that just tickles my fancy, and I love the facial hair so much more than the original release. I would have loved if they had gotten the head from the cowboy hat and just like removed the hat instead of giving us a reuse of that first Warlock Build-A-Figure wave Wolverine. That and the claws, they're the ones used for a majority of Wolverines, but for some reason it just looks so out of place on Logan here. The movie claws on here would have been peak. Despite all that, Old Man Logan is just a badass looking action figure, and for that he earns the number 5 spot. And coming in at number 4, we have VHS Wolverine. This released in 2022 as a part of the X-Men animated series VHS collection. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. The cell shading, really the only aspect that decreases the coolness of this figure for me, not by much, but enough to keep it from going any higher. You'd have to have some very steady hands in order to remove it, as it intersects with the black tiger stripe. It's fixable, but it won't come easy. The figure is nearly perfect aside from that. This was the first Wolverine to use those brand new animated claws, and they look spot on to the television show. Speaking of spot on, those head sculpts, angry expression is a favorite favorite of mine, and at least to me, one of the best Wolverine head sculpts ever, with the gritted teeth and wing flaps are stretched further outward than most Wolverines. If I had to make one more nitpick, I wish the skin tone wasn't so pale, as I would have loved to put this head on other figures. I've been beating around the bush long enough. Let's talk about the picture frame of Scott and Jean. Such a hilarious accessory. I bought mine loose from a friend. It did not come with one, unfortunately, but it's a piece I'll have to track down sometime. An amazing figure overall. That is why it comes in at number 4. And coming in at number 3, we have the Love Triangle Wolverine. This released in 2019 in a 3-pack alongside Cyclops and Jean Grey. What happens when you take the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave Wolverine, but make the color scheme more accurate and add some killer accessories? Well, the Love Triangle Wolverine is the answer to that extremely specific question. This figure is honestly the total package and gives you a ton of bang for your buck. An angry head, battle damaged yelling head, unmasked Logan head, and a cowl to go with it. A pair of hands with adamantium claws, and most importantly, the bone claws. It's a very welcomed inclusion and looks phenomenal to boot. The bright yellow given to the suit helps Wolvie pop out even better on the display, and I think they nailed the skin tone here. There are a few drawbacks, however. The cowl doesn't sit too well on his shoulders, as it was originally made for another Wolverine using a different mold. The wing flaps stretch out a tiny bit, but not enough for my liking. The adamantium claws aren't ideal, but they're passable. Those are just my personal nitpicks though. I would definitely go with this guy if you want a definitive Wolverine in the collection. That is why Love Triangle is at number 3. Hey, number 3, Triangle. I swear I didn't do it on purpose. Alright, moving on. And coming in at number 2, we have X-Men 97 Wolverine. This released in 2023 as a part of the X-Men 97 Retro Collection. This is one of the most solid Wolverine figures ever. It doesn't go above and beyond, but it certainly gets the job done and looks great doing it. It has pinless joints, something the other Tiger Stripe Wolverines haven't had until now. The arms look nearly flawless, with the only thing missing being some paint apps for the hair. The new legs are perfect as they tone down the musculature, making it look way more accurate to the show. It also has the trunks on the outside of his suit sculpted, which looks a million times better than the previous Tiger Stripe Wolverines, which only used the hip piece. The claws are molded in a dark silver plastic, which surprisingly look great. I love the inclusion of the unclawed hands as well. Where this figure goes above and beyond for me are those head sculpts. They're 2 of the best Wolverine heads we've gotten, and coupled with the digital face printing makes this figure have the perfect animated look. I sorely wish we had gotten an angry or yelling masked head, as it would have solidified this figure for the number 1 spot. That neutral expression just isn't terribly useful when it comes to action scenes where he's fighting his rogues gallery, or when he's at the mansion getting annoyed by the mere presence of Cyclops. It was neck and neck between this figure and my number 1 pick, but in the end, I had to put 97 Wolverine at 2, but that doesn't diminish how amazing this figure is. It is still highly deserving of being this high on the list. Alright, time for the number 1 spot, and before I get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, and comment what your favorite Wolverine figure is down in the comment section below. But with that out of the way, let's get into the number 1 spot, and it is none other than the astonishing Wolverine. This released in the summer of 2024 as a part of the 85th anniversary line. This figure greatly benefits from recency bias in the eyes of many. However, I feel safe in saying the praise it's gotten so soon after its release is definitely well deserved. Astonishing Wolverine released alongside many heavy hitters as a part of the Marvel 85th anniversary line. He manages to be a standout, however, which just goes to show just how amazing this figure truly is. His astonishing uniform isn't my all-time favorite, but it is one that I like a lot. Speaking of the uniform, the sculpt for it here is in the upper echelon of Marvel Legends molds. It is pretty much brand new from the ground up, except for one piece, or should I say 6. His adamantium claws were made using the movie sculpt, and you know what? It's about time. They are the greatest looking claws from Marvel Legends, and I welcome their inclusion here. They're the first set of claws for these figures that look like they could properly cut through anything. The hair on the arms look great, and the paint apps for both head sculpts look amazing. The intensity of the masked head is otherworldly. The detail they managed to pack in with the paint apps alone sets this figure above and beyond others. He also has a neutral head, which is fine. I loved both, but I would have liked a neutral masked head as well to match with Emma and Cyclops. Let's get into the nitty gritty, the mismatching set of hands. If you are a regular viewer of my reviews, you will know mismatching hands annoys me to the ends of the earth, and that is what is happening here. Despite that, the open and pointing hands are great. I would have liked them for both hands, but still, great. They nailed the articulation in all but one place, the upper calves, but he still moves like a dream. There's no doubt this is in the running for the best Wolverine figure ever. I was a little hesitant in giving him the top spot as he just came out a few months ago. Right before this recording, I had him at number 2. I like the tiger stripe suit the best, but I'll have to admit, I've had more fun posing this figure around than the 97 Wolverine. This may be a decision I come to regret, but at this very moment, Astonishing Wolverine is my favorite Marvel Legends Wolverine figure of all time. And that'll do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, subscribe. Heavy emphasis on comment. I know I probably snubbed a lot of your guys' favorites, so please comment down below either your top 10, your top 5, your top 3, or just your favorite Wolverine figure in general. I would love to read your guys' opinions and maybe take those into consideration if I ever decide to remake this list. Your support would be greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. But with that, I will see you in the next one. Bye.